Senator, yes, I like you. There are others.
Good evening. You are looking at a live picture of the Georgia State Senate as a long debate on Senate district lines continues into the evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm Gerald Bryant. That is our top story tonight.
And I'm Susan Hoffman. Also tonight, retired teachers could soon return to the classroom to a salary in addition to pension benefits.
And former Governor Ernest Vandiver makes a special appearance in the Senate. Our top story tonight, the reapportionment vote. That is a vote that has not taken place yet. You just saw some of the live debate going on in the Senate. We'll be returning there later in the program. It has been a long and often contentious day in the state Senate as they debated redrawing Senate district lines. A U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. sent down its decision Friday on the original reapportionment plans. The court okayed House and congressional maps, but found problems in the Senate maps because of dilution of black voting strength in some districts. Senate Republicans, who say they didn't see the new maps until today, used every procedure they could to delay a vote.
I had my light on for the last issue. Is there a reason that we weren't recognized?
Senator, you were recognized previously for questions. Those questions were repeated by other members of the Senate, and the chair has the authority in the Senate rules to suspend irrelevant debate.
Further point, Mr.
State
Chair?
your inquiry.
Is there a rule that states that if you ask questions, you're unable to take the well?
I have several rules here on point as to redundant questions, senators being out of order in an intentional attempt to derail the legislative process. We are not going to conduct ourselves in that fashion today.
After Republicans debated the normally routine procedure of accepting the Senate Journal, they began to make additional motions. Lieutenant Governor Mark Taylor was waiting to welcome former Governor Ernest Vandiver to the chamber, and Taylor aimed some of his remarks in the direction of GOP members.
Could we recognize a former governor of this state, members of the Republican Party? Would that, that will take some time? Would that be all right? Could we honor a previous public servant of this state?
Senate Minority Leader Eric Johnson moved to adjourn, saying Senate members needed more time to look at the new Senate district maps. That brought Senator Nadine Thomas to her feet to question Johnson about his motives.
For you to stand to say that you have not had the time, that is not true, Senator? Is that not true?
That is incorrect, Senator.
Senator, is it not further true that this whole entire session, Senator, that you and your party has gone in that well and complained about taking up the people's business, and that, Senator, is it not further true that you are doing that today, that we have 52 bills, 5 resolutions, and we need to get about the people's business? And is it not further true that we have bills on here dealing with cruelty to senior citizens, children's issues, plus we have a big budget that we need to pass, and you taking up time today? Is that not further true?
Some of what you state, Senator, is true, and some of it is not true. Let me see if I can address all of them. The first claim the senator makes, with due respect, is that we've seen this map since last Friday. That is incorrect.
Senate Minority Whip Tom Price questioned Lieutenant Governor Taylor about members' rights to make motions, debate amendments. Here is what that exchange looked like.
Isn't it true that convention of this chamber is to allow, by respect, individuals the opportunity to present their amendments and speak to them?
It is also the custom in this chamber to allow the chaplain of the day the opportunity to pray for the work in the Senate.
Further point?
And that chaplain is being delayed in his busy work.
Further point?
By these comical parliamentary efforts.
Further point, Mr. President?
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that it's only prayer that's going to help us today?
I'm praying constantly for patience. My mother's favorite verse, through your patience possess ye your soul. And it was never more relevant than today. And we are going to be very patient. I understand that 23 members of your caucus has signed up for points of personal privilege, and we look forward to those.
What we do today is not silly. It is not comical. It is not farcical. It's a very serious matter. And as the senator from the 56 said, there are rules in place, there are reasons for the rules, and the rules are there to protect the rights of the minority.
Then, for almost 4 hours off into a nearly empty Senate chamber, 23 Republicans each took 10 minutes on points of personal privilege, pushing the debate on Senate districts late into the afternoon and early into this evening. Again, that debate continues at this hour. We'll let you know if a vote is taken during our broadcast.
To get the latest on this reapportionment discussion debate, we have Hamilton Northcutt, one of our reporters, who's live at the Capitol. And right now, she's being joined by Senator Robert Brown. He's been heavily involved in drawing these district maps. Hamilton.
Well, Senator Brown is the vice chairman of the Senate Reapportionment Committee. And just a few moments ago, Senator Brown, I said it looks like a late night for the Senate. You said, in fact, no, it'll be an early morning. So what's the likely outcome of this reapportionment debate? I
think we're going to pass this bill out that we have substituted for the original bill, and as a way of going forward with the reapportionment process. I'm going to have to run. It's a vote.
Okay, Senator Brown, thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate that. Well, unfortunately, we had to cut our interview short. There is some kind of a vote going on the Senate floor, and we will bring you that information as soon as possible. But a filibuster has been going on all day long in the Senate regarding House Bill 1667. And there goes Senate Minority Leader Eric Johnson. He is sprinting across the Capitol to go and vote as well. So I hope that we'll be able to get you the information on whatever they're voting on as soon as possible. Right now, back to the studio.
Thank you, Hamilton. That's how fast things are breaking here this evening. Just after 4 this afternoon, the debate on the Senate districts began. The proposed new Senate district map concentrates on changes in 3 districts. District number 12 in southwest Georgia, also District number 26, which includes all of Twiggs County, some of Wilkinson, and some of Bibb County, and District number 2 in Savannah. As the debate began this afternoon, Senate President Pro Tem Terrell Starr said that debate would not be allowed to last without limit, listing bills the Senate still had to consider.
The state budget, natural gas reform, predatory lending, local bills concerning school boards, county commissions, 57 bills in all, rising on this calendar day that we need to get to before we adjourn tonight. The business of this legislative session needs to continue collectively. We in the Senate simply cannot allow our work to grind to a halt on this, the 38th day. Parliamentary procedure will be upheld and utilized to move us forward with the legislative calendar. Let me be clear. No one senator or group will get in the way of the people's business.
Senate Reapportionment Committee Chairman Tim Golden then took the well to present the new Senate district plan, saying the clock was running out.
Time is of the essence. We have the ability to make only those few changes in the majority-minority districts as required by this court opinion. We know the configurations for District 2, 12, and 26 match those already drawn for the court by the Department of Justice. Although some of our colleagues would like to sabotage or delay or otherwise obstruct our duty to correct this plan in a way we know will likely meet court approval, not to mention take up time that could be used for other legislation, including the budget and the other matters of great importance to this state. Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yield.
Yes.
Have you read the decision?
Excuse me.
I have read through the decision, yes. Senator, nowhere in there that I read, and I'd like your interpretation of it, was this map rejected due to 3 specific Senate districts. Is that not correct? In my consultation with my advisors, my understanding that the primary objection, yes, is the Senate District 2, 12, and 26. Senator, further yield?
Yes.
Can you cite or quote anywhere in this decision where it says that the map was rejected due to these specific districts?
Senator, as I said, my understanding in speaking with my counsel is that the courts objected to Senate District 2, 12, and 26, that the Justice Department raised those objections, and that is my understanding of the legal opinion.
Senator, further yield?
Yes.
Are these the same attorneys that told you the last map was legal?
Senator, I think you know that the dissenting opinion, this was a 2-to-1 opinion, and I take exception that when you refer to it as an illegal plan, I do not consider it an illegal plan.
Senator Yield? Yes. What do you call a map that's been cited as violating the Voting Rights Act? Senator, I will remind you, too, this court approved the House plan that you objected to. It approved the congressional plan that you objected to. It approved 53 of the 56 Senate seats. So I'd say we're batting a pretty good batting average there.
Again, that debate has been going on since about 4 o'clock this afternoon. It may have been coming to a conclusion now. We will give you the outcome if a vote is taken before we leave the air.
It sounds like some of the senators are getting a little workout as they run back to vote, and Hamilton is joining us live once again with Senator Robert Brown. Hamilton?
Thank you, Susan. Senator Brown took off in a sprint just a moment ago to go and vote in the Senate, and we need to find out exactly what was going on. He's very graciously come back to join us again to tell us what is going on. Can you bring us up to date, Senator Brown, on what just happened in the Senate?
That was a move for the previous question, which means essentially that we are closing down debate so that we can go ahead and vote on this measure for reapportionment. We are now hearing a minority report, that is being presented by Senator Price of the Republican Party. That should last about 20 to 30 minutes, and after that time we will vote on this measure, and I feel confident that we'll vote it out this evening, and of course it'll have to hold over until tomorrow under Rule 143, and I'm confident that on tomorrow we'll finish this business up and our reapportionment part of this session will be complete.
So for our viewers who aren't as familiar with the legislative process, will the vote that really matters be tonight, or will it be tomorrow?
Well, actually, they both really matter, because if you don't get tonight, you don't get to tomorrow, and they're both essential to the process. Once you have a vote on a substitute that's longer than the original bill, you have to lay it over until the next day, and then on the next day you will vote on the final passage. And so they are both very crucial and equally important votes.
Senator Robert Brown, Vice Chairman of the Reapportionment Committee, thank you so much for being with us. And it's likely to be a long night here in the Senate. I spoke to the Lieutenant Governor's press officer just a few moments ago. He says they plan to go through the calendar. There are dozens of bills on that calendar, so it should be a late night, or as Senator Brown said, an early morning.
All right,
reporting live from the Capitol, I'm Hamilton Northcutt. Susan Gerald, back to you.
Thanks so much. We'll probably check in with you before the end of the show to see if there's anything else to report. In the meantime, the House passes the governor's DUI legislation. The bill, Senate Bill 482, equalizes drug and alcohol when it comes to driving under the influence. The bill prompted great debate and many amendments. One was presented by Representative John Wiles. He was concerned that codeine prescribed by a doctor could show up as heroin in a blood test. Here's Wiles.
The code section that we're dealing with now makes it illegal. Makes it a crime of driving under the influence if you have in your blood any, that means any measurable amount by any test of a controlled substance, Schedule I controlled substance. These are illegal drugs. So if you have in your bloodstream heroin, you're not supposed to have heroin, you're not supposed to possess heroin. So if you're driving, whether you're impaired or not, you're guilty of DUI if you have heroin in your bloodstream. Well, we don't want people to use heroin, so that's why we made it the law. One of the problems is if you look at the words and it says metabolite. Now, I am not a doctor, nor am I a forensic scientist. So I went and talked to Dr. Toomey, who is a physician, who then went and talked to a forensic scientist, and they indicated to me that a legally prescribed pain reliever has the exact same metabolite on the test as heroin. So if you went to your dentist and you had some teeth taken out and you had Tylenol with codeine, or the Tylenol 3, that would show up in your bloodstream just as heroin would. So you could be guilty of DUI for taking a legally prescribed medicine, and not being impaired. And after working this through the system, I have to thank the governor's office. They were the ones that suggested talking to Dr. Toomey, and they've agreed to this amendment. And you'll see when it comes up, actually, that Charlie Smith signed it first, that basically takes out the drugs that I guess are morphine-based, which includes heroin, opium, that kind of thing. It's not that we think it's okay for you to drive with heroin in your body, but there is not a way we can test and differentiate between the two, one legal drug and one illegal drug.
Others did share the Wild's concern, like Representative Bobby Parham. He ended up offering an amendment that basically would exempt all prescription medications. That amendment did pass, as did a few others. One was offered by Glenn Richardson. His amendment stated that officers should not presume that a liquid would be alcohol if it smelled or even looked like alcohol based on all the fake wine and beers that are now on the market. Again, this bill did pass. It passed with amendments, though, so it must go back to the Senate. Also today, the governor's plan to let Georgians renew their driver's license by mail or internet is through the House. The simple goal of this legislation is to let drivers renew once via mail. The bill, House Bill 1368, passed. The Senate did make some changes. The House agreed to those changes. That means the bill moves to the governor for his signature. And now we do have more information coming out of the Senate tonight. Again, they are live. They're still debating reapportionment. Standing by live with us is Hamilton Northcutt, as well as Senate Minority Leader Eric Johnson, who has been very vocal about the Democrats and their willingness or their interest in providing a majority of districts that will ultimately benefit the Democrats. The question on some of those maps or some of those districts has been the dilution of the black voting strength. Hamilton?
Senator Johnson has been very vocal throughout this debate, but one of his colleagues is in the well right now also speaking out. Senator Johnson, thank you for being with us. Tell us, what is Senator Tom Price talking about right now in the well? It's a very important speech he's making.
The Lieutenant Governor just shut off debate on this redistricting plan in violation, clear violation of the Senate rules. So this is the last protest of that ruling, but it appears that just like they did the Insurance Committee ramrod earlier in the session in violation of the rules, it looks like they're doing it again tonight simply to get what they want and force it through.
Yeah. By all accounts, that this is likely to be a close vote. Do the Republicans have enough votes to vote down the redrawn Senate map?
Right now, every Republican is against it. One black Democrat and one white Democrat are against it. If two more Democrats oppose it, it will be defeated. We don't know, particularly the minority legislators. We don't know where they are. There's some concern in Fulton County. There's some concerns about the Augusta. We still contend that this hurts minority voters. Forget whether it's partisan. Forget whether it's gerrymandered and hurts the people of Georgia. The only legal issue is whether it hurts minority voters. We think it does, and we're hoping there's still a black legislator ready to defend the minorities in this state.
It sounds as though we'll find that out very shortly. Is there any concern among your party that Democrats will use this day-long filibuster as campaign ammunition against Republicans, saying that you have stalled many other important items of legislation with just 2 days left in the session?
Well, they're the ones that waited until 3 days before the session, no committee to try this. We could have gone into special session after it was over to do this. So it's really, they can say that. I'd much rather take this map out on the campaign trail and let them defend passing it. I have no qualms about filibustering against an illegal map that violates the Voting Rights Act.
Senate Minority Leader Eric Johnson, thank you so much for being with us this evening. And he heads back to the Senate as they continue to the debate and then plan on a vote and then look at other legislation. Should be an interesting vote, and we will have more information on that. Reporting live from the Capitol, I'm Hamilton Northcutt for Lawmakers.
Thanks very much, Hamilton.
And as you could see just a moment ago, Senate Minority Whip Tom Price delivering the minority report. That could last for several more moments. So there may not be a vote on this issue before we leave the air, but we'll certainly let you know what happens tomorrow. If there does happen to be a vote before in the next 10 minutes or so, we will let you know that as well. In other news, 2 bills regarding abandoned cars are merged, passed, and sent to the governor. The first bill, House Bill 1562, shortens the length of time an abandoned car can sit on public property. The second, Senate Bill 334, provides procedures for towing an abandoned car. Representative Doug Teeper proposed an amendment prohibiting towing from a private parking lot within 500 feet of a bar before noon the next day. His reasoning, it would allow bar patrons time to get their cars if they took a cab home after drinking too much.
I don't think we should punish people who are doing the right thing. They're taking a taxi home or they're getting a ride home when they think they've had too much to drink. We don't want to encourage people to get behind the wheel and kill somebody.
Representative Tom Bordeaux, chair of the House Judiciary Committee, favored the bill but opposed the Teeper amendment, saying it would infringe on an individual's property rights.
If you have a business within, I think, 500 feet of a bar, and you come to work in the morning and find that some drunk from the bar has left his car in your parking place, you can't tow that car so you can get to your parking place. That's what the bill does. It infringes upon property owners' property rights. While I commend him on his efforts to protect drunk drivers from having their car towed when they do the responsible thing in terms of taking a cab or something home, what it does is infringe upon property rights, and I suggest there's probably a better way to do it, and we can probably work that out perhaps next year.
The Teeper amendment was lost. The House agreed to the Senate's plan to merge the bills in a substitute. That sub was adopted. The vote was 152-2. It goes to the governor.
And the House also passed the Segway bill outlining guidelines for these two-wheeled battery-operated vehicles. The bill stipulates that they can be used on sidewalks, bike lanes, or roads where the speed limit is 35 miles per hour or under. It also stipulates helmets and reflectors are mandatory in certain situations. To boot, you cannot drink and drive your Segway. During debate, Representative Robert Ray offered an amendment requiring all garbage trucks to have flashers on the back. That passed. Due to changes, the bill must go back to the Senate.
And Governor Roy Barnes today welcomed U.S. Education Secretary Rod Page to present the No Child Left Behind education program. And Wandy Lawson joins us live from the Capitol with more about today's event. And Wandy.
Well, Gerald, today, you remember back in January that President Bush signed the Education Reform Act into law. It was hailing parental participation as a way to ensure student success. Well, today, Secretary Rod Page delivered that message to a rally at the Galleria in Cobb County. When Congressman Saxby Chambliss and Johnny Isakson joined Roy Barnes in welcoming the Education Secretary, the message was that political posturing is unnecessary in school reform.
You know, sometimes the behavior gets such that if these kids would act like that, we send them to the principal's office. But when it comes to education, it's not like that. When it comes to education, we got men and women standing together. They're standing together because they've let this subject override all their individual and also party interests.
Secretary Page made Atlanta the second stop on a 25-city tour promoting the recently adopted federal education plan. The 4 pillars of No Child Left Behind include measuring student achievement, local control, using proven education methods, and welcoming parental participation. Information about the program can be accessed at nochildleftbehind.gov. Governor Barnes lauded the state for implementing these measures in advance.
The reform measures that we have implemented here in Georgia beginning 2 years ago, setting high goals, utilizing proven strategies, and holding schools accountable, improve education in our state.
The Georgia Public Policy Foundation unveiled its measure of school accountability. A new website has been launched to increase awareness about school performance.
When we first started publishing these report cards, we lamented the fact that although the state spends more than half of its budget each year on education, the average Georgian knew more about their local school's football performance than their academic performance.
Now, the Georgia Public Policy website ranks Georgia's schools, and this year the top 3 elementary schools are Columbia County's Stevens Creek Elementary, Atlanta City's Brandon Elementary, and DeKalb County's Kittredge Magnet School. The top 3 middle schools include Davidson Magnet in Richmond County, Highland Middle in Dougherty County, and Walker Traditional in Richmond County. And among the high schools, the standouts were Richmond County's Johnson Magnet, Muskogee County's Columbus High School, and Davidson Magnet School in Richmond County. If you'd like to find out where your area schools fall, you can visit the public policy website at gppf.org. Reporting live from the Capitol, I'm Wandy Lawson for Lawmakers.
Thank you very much, Wandy.
And the bill allowing Georgia's retired teachers to return to the classroom is on its way to the governor. The bill, House Bill 210, passed in the House today as amended by the Senate. The Senate made 3 basic changes, as Representative Louise McBee explains.
This amendment does 3 things. It drops librarians and school counselors and limits the bill to strictly teaching personnel, classroom teacher. It adds RESA teachers who are full classroom teachers as improvement specialists in the low-performing schools. And 3, it lists changes the qualifying schools to low-performing or Title I schools. What better could we ask than to put our best, our most capable, our longest and most able performing teachers in the schools where the students need them the most.
Representative Jeff Williams, who supported the bill and wished it went further, pointed out that the bill had been whittled down in the Senate due to cost.
I guess I need to know the primary reason for the Senate change had to do with funding. Is that not true?
In part, yes. When the bill began, it was a $25 million cost. We kept cutting it down until it came down to $2.5 million. This costs nothing.
Will the lady further yield?
Yes.
I understand the fiscal issue that we're in here in Georgia and that pressure. I guess I'm hoping that this House and the sponsors who have worked so diligently this year on this bill will continue to help those of us in large systems who continue to be plagued by a shortage of teachers and losing some of our best educators in the state.
That certainly is part of the plan. We hope that this will show that teachers do want to come back, that they will continue to work beyond the 30 years, as they are doing in other states already, and that we can make changes next year that will improve it and will offer it to more people.
Again, this bill passed as changed by the Senate. The vote on that was today was 158 to 2.
Members of the House Insurance Subcommittee gave a do-pass recommendation to a bill that would protect health insurance consumers. Lawmakers Michelle Horton joins us live from the Capitol with more. Michelle.
Gerald, the committee substitute to Senate Bill 476 is the Consumer Health Insurance Protection Act. Major provisions of the bill include around-the-clock assistance for patients who have questions regarding health coverage. It would also require our insurance companies to notify customers when their coverage has been canceled, and a new provision that would prohibit doctors from charging patients additional costs not covered by insurance companies after 2 years. Many people spoke in favor of Senate Bill 476 today, saying that current insurance policies make it hard for employees to receive the health care they need.
One of the things that always happens is we instruct them to give your card to the insurance people at the hospital, let them do the work. They're the experts, not the consumer. And once you get that card in their hand, you would think that these people have the knowledge and the know-how to get a pre-certification, which in my understanding is what this whole bill is about. Tell me what I've got to pay when the time comes. And inevitably, in 100% of the instances in our company, it was never right. A man would be told, I'm going to have a 20% copay, and he'd wind up with a $1,000 bill.
Now, the subcommittee gave a due pass by substitute to Senate Bill 476. It now moves to the House Insurance Committee for consideration. Reporting live from the Capitol, I'm Michelle Horton for Lawmakers.
Quickly, Michelle, any word on when the committee will vote on the bill?
Well, the committee had planned to discuss the substitute upon adjournment today. However, with the House only adjourning minutes ago, there is no word yet on when they will actually meet.
All right, thank you very much, Michelle. And coming up tomorrow on Lawmakers, it will be day 39 of the legislature. Expect a lot of action on both sides of the Capitol. Still live now, Senator Robert Brown going to the well as the debate on reapportionment in the Senate district continues.
Come down this evening because
we'll have more of that tomorrow on Lawmakers, the results of that vote. Stay tuned now as Outdoor and Georgia explored some unique fishing opportunities. Georgia Outdoors is next. Thanks for watching. I'm Gerald Bryant.
I'm Susan Hoffman from everybody here. Good night.